right, welcome everybody to round 4. We've got Derek Davis on Rainbow Sling at the bottom, and on the top of your screen we have Serus, and Serus is running actually the same deck as Prakalakin, so Team WSG there running those Ambition Valkyries, so another deck similar to, similar to Vision Mid, which we haven't seen in quite a while, but yeah, Valkyries as well, doing the same kind of thing, a deck that used to be really all over the place, haven't seen in a while, but now we do. And we can see that at the top of your screen here. So it looks a little light on power there, but they do have a stone hammer, which maybe they can plunder something away. Did Derek Davis go down to 6? It looked like they did.
I believe so.
Yeah, I think they did as well. All right, here comes that stone hammer. As we said, going to plunder away, get a fire sigil so they can start deploying out some more things here. Thankfully for Serus, their hand was actually relatively cheap. They've got the Watchwing support, 2 flash fries, the rail driver, all of that they can they can play out cheaply. But yeah, they're going to want to get up to 4 for that Lord Stairs tower and for that heavy artillery.
So the interesting thing we're going to see here, and now, well, Derek managed to pull off their silver bullet here. I was going to mention that there's a bunch of big units in Derek's hand, but none of them have flying. So all these threats from Serus would be able to kind of fly over the top. But, I mean, Slug is the perfect answer to that, removing all those flyers as well as gaining back some of that life. So
if you don't know that one, it's a 6/4 summon. Each unit with flying gets -1/-1 for each of your units. So that's a good way to deal with flyers for sure. And yeah, going to play out this big owl head. Man, this card has just overperformed so much. And I think one of the cool things about this Rainbow Sling deck is, as you mentioned, the older Sling decks were all in on Sling of the Chi, right? It was like, well, let's just play some undercosted units to try to just get Sling of the Chi, but the units themselves weren't great. But this one, All Head, is just like, well, I can just play this as a 5-drop, and it's perfectly good in the format just as a 5-drop, even without the Sling. And you put the Sling in there, and it just becomes broken. But I just love how they just have like good units to go along with it.
I agree. The deck continues to evolve as new cards are added and people are trying new takes on it. And you're just seeing the quality of the deck kind of get fine-tuned by the entire community playing around with it, slowly but surely locking into kind of one of the most efficient versions of the deck. We're seeing an attack here, and Serus with interesting that they're willing to fire off this. I mean, it's a ton of damage coming across. Don't get me wrong, but Derek representing at least some kind of interaction with three power open. But Serus isn't afraid. You don't get this far. You don't go 3-0 by playing scared, and so they went into the red zone and luckily played it off pretty well because they got a ton of damage in. Where even that slug still left Derek Davis at a pretty low life total. Yeah. But I mean, Serus is looking at lethal on the crackback. So
yeah, it's unfortunate for Serus. They had to actually plunder away to get their 4th power. So I mentioned at the very start of that match, very start of the game, how they were a little bit power screwed. They were actually stuck on 3 that whole time, and they only plundered away with that exploit. They didn't really have anything, and 3 flash fries in hand, which really did nothing against the threat. So having no power in hand and 3 copies of flash fry, not really a great start for what you're looking for there.
Nope, and I mean, it wasn't. I don't think it was an influence issue as well. I could be wrong.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think they had the influence they needed, but yeah, just basically stuck on 3.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, stuck on power, and the cards you could play were basically unplayable. Makes for a bad combination, I've heard.
It is kind of scary though because Derek is running Dr. Zytram, which can really capitalize on some of these Valkyries going to the void and being able to snatch them back up on their side of the board. So it's going to be interesting if that comes into play at all in this matchup or not.
Yeah, one thing to keep an eye on with Dr. Zytram as well, which in the open I had to deal with, and I did not understand, and should have known in the open, but day 1 I was playing against someone with Dr. Zytram, and played out some razor blades to throw a bunch of deadly blockers in his way. But Dr. Zytram has this nice little text at the top that says, enemy damage can't be deadly. So I don't think it'll come up too much in this matchup, but make sure of those death wings that come out, and if you have any weapons as well, if Dr. Zytram's out, those will not be deadly. They will not have deadly damage. Both players mulliganing down to 6 here. So there you go. There's 2 of those deadly death wings here. Derek Davis also went down to 6 last game and still won that, so that's impressive.
Shout out to Eternal Streamer Kalebovich for designing the Dr. Zytrum card. So
Yeah, good shout out. It's a very cool, well designed card. A lot of the, Moldermuck as well. A lot of the cool cards that we've seen have been player designed. Gotta love that.
yeah, shoot, yeah, my bad. Yeah, shout out to Cassandra for designing Moldermuck. I keep forgetting. Like it just Cass is so well known by everyone. I just assume that everyone knows him. But yeah, definitely shout out for designing Moldermuck as well.
All right, here you go. All four factions. Another reason for this rainbow sling deck, I think, is that it's different. It's the power base of the factions are different than they are in Magic the Gathering, as an example, where you really only need like one of each of the factions to play out your whole hand. Yeah, some of your cards have double costs, but once you get one of every influence, you can just play your whole hand for everything that you cost. So it's not like, oh, I have 3 shadow cards in my hand, I need triple shadow influence. It's like, no, you just hit the one shadow, you can play everything. So with the Expedition power base the way it is, it's actually fairly easy to play 4 or 5 factions if there's not a heavy, double or triple influence cost. So yeah, Allhead has the double time, but one of the reasons this deck works is that how easy it is to get 4 and 5 factions of influence.
Ooh, that was kind of crucial there. Let's see. They're gonna try to. Oh my gosh, they lucked out. I never get that lucky with my exploits. That would have 100% been a justice source for me. Well, good on them. So serious, they didn't get to peek at the hand, but they did manage to plunder that crucial third power, which will allow them to start deploying
Yeah.
threats and shields down here for Rear Appropriator to steal.
Watchwing
As
support,
his,
or no? What did they steal?
yeah, our no Sling.
Oh, it's still Sling. Oh, Sling, yeah. There you go.
Yep. Which I mean, once again, there's not much for them to activate on their side of the board, but just being able to deny it for Derek is going to be a decent, way to kind of mitigate a lot of that card advantage of value that comes from Sling being in play.
Yeah, but unfortunately for Serus, there's a second copy of Sling of the Chi coming out. So if they don't draw a way to answer this one, they're still going to be able to go off this next turn. And there's the
Yeah.
Deathwing
Luckily,
number one.
the regen is going to allow the Rear Appropriator to stick around for at least the first wave of Sling hitting it. But the second one's definitely going to end up returning the fate or returning the relic. Oh, and you know what? Derek is all right with just one of them, and they're just gonna go ahead and keep the board clear and swing. And man,
Oof, that
that's
was
painful.
sweet. So that was actually, I love that line. So Derek played Monolith Guardian, took out the Deathwing, and then paid the cost on the Allhead to put the Monolith Guardian back on top and pump the unit. So pretty cool there. And yeah, that's just gonna be it. Derek Davis is gonna take that a quick